Hi, and welcome back to Dirtbike Magazine's video series, The 20s, where we take you up close and personal with all the 2020 motocross models. Today, we're getting our first chance to ride the 2020 RM-Z450. This was the final 2020 model released to the media for testing evaluation. On paper, this bike is identical to the 2019 model, except for a couple cosmetic changes in the graphics. You might have seen some other videos that were released before the release date in the description below. All of those were 2019 models. We are always gonna wait to have the current model in our possession before we release any riding evaluations about that particular model. Doing it any other way, it doesn't do any good for the manufacturer or our reader. If we're talking 2020s, we're riding 2020s. This bike saw major changes in 2018 and hasn't changed very much since then. So for all the in-depth specs, head over to dirtbikemagazine.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit the link in the description. It'll take you to more in-depth specs. That's enough talking. Let's go ride this thing. We just finished with our first day of testing on the 2020 RM-Z450, and no big surprises here. We know that the bike has a proven platform, hasn't changed very much since it came out in 2018. The bike does a lot of things good. It's a great bike for the beginner novice rider straight off the assembly line. It has good power. It has all around predictable handling. The adjustment factor that is on most of the other 450s isn't on this motorcycle, but then also this bike can be dialed in for upper level pro riders. And that's evident with the JGR team. Those guys run up front a lot because the bike is a blank canvas. You can modify it to compete at the highest levels of our sport. A couple things that we don't like about the bike, we've already spoke about the lack of adjustability. The bike feels heavy, and the rear shock, although it does have some pretty cool technology internally, it's hard to dial in, and we always have kind of a nervous feel with it, especially entering into corners and trying to get it to settle down in a rut. The shock tends to calm down with a little bit more sag in it models. This one likes to be ran around 110 or 111 millimeters of sag. Although the shock might take some tuning and some dialing in, the fork setup is pretty good right off the bat. And as far as the engine, it's got more than enough performance for the average rider. This is the first day of testing on the 2020 model, but it won't be very long until we put it in the ring with all the other 450cc models in its class and do our 2020 shootout. If you got a little bit more time, check out our TM 2-stroke project bike and the 2020 Yamaha YZ450 videos. And click that subscribe button to stay up to date on all the latest video releases